Good morning, Mr. Tunde Toyinbo. Good morning, Mr. Dauda, and everybody on board. All right, so let's start. So today there is just one tradable fundamental event, and that is, sorry, pardon me, it's not tradable. That's the Bank of England Governor Bailey's speech, and that's the only fundamental event for today. It comes up by 11 a.m. It's a speech. Speeches, well, if you want to look at it on an angle, it all depends on your perspective to trading. Some people do trade speeches, but what I do encourage you to do is that if you must trade speeches, then it's better you watch the video of where the speech is made so that you can get to know the body language and that can guide you in trading, because for speeches, there's no actual or forecast or previous data. No data attached to it. So that's what makes it a little bit complex to trade. And like I always guide my students, if a major speech like this is ahead, it's just best if you are not in the market, because pitches can be very, very volatile and you may not know the direction, except you do what I said earlier, watch the actual video where where the speech will be made so that you can take note of what will be said, and you now have to interpret, whatever speech it is to know whether the market will go bullish or bearish. It's actually a lot of work for beginner traders. So what I do encourage is just to stay out, of speeches as much as possible. All right, so that being said, I'll just switch over to the chart since we don't have any tradable fundamental event. I'll switch over straight to chart and show you my view for today. Now, I'll start with gold. Gold is an instrument of interest. There are a lot of traders who trade gold. In fact, some trade it solely, But then we should also always know that gold has a lot of fundamental buyers globally. It's moved more by fundamental events. Yes, there are times it can be technical if there's no political issues that could trigger movement. So, but then currently I perceive we have more of the fundamental outlook. Now, this is gold on the 1 hour time frame, and the price is actually boxed into a range. So when my market is in a range, we are only looking for trading opportunity if price is able to break out of that range. These rectangle boxes represent a range. In a ranging market, we are neither buying or selling. Normally, we are to stand out until price breaks out. So if price breaks out to the upside of this range, you can buy. And if it breaks out to the downside, you can sell. So you need to watch out for that in the course of the day as, trading activities resume for the day. So we are either buying or selling on gold, depending on where the breakout takes place. Now, aside gold, I have other technical setup which I'll be sharing with us. And the first on the list will be the NZD-USD. The NZD-USD. And I'm looking at this instrument on the 15 minutes time frame. I'll start my analysis from 4 hour. Now, on the 4 hour time frame, this instrument is on a downtrend. Okay, let's still also look at the daily so that we can get a clearer perspective. Now, this is the daily time frame. This is the daily time frame. Okay, we can't get much clarity on daily, but it's clear on 4 hour. On the 4 hour, we can see that price is generally on a downtrend. It's trending downwards. We have a series of lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. And the current 4 hour candle is also on a lower high. The previous one touched the trend line. The current one just appeared 7 a.m. this morning. So technically, we're going to be looking at a bearish movement on this instrument today. All right, so we can go to a lower time frame to try to look for entry. So I'm switching over to 1 hour. All right, so apologies, we had a little network glitch, but we're back. All right, so I'll continue. So as I was saying, on the 1 hour, we are looking for a downward movement on this instrument. But then I will go a little further to 15 minutes to try to look out for a possible clearer entry. And I'm seeing my trend line being drawn on the 15 minutes time frame. So I'll be looking out for a breakout of price below this lower trend line to trigger a sell on the NZD USD. And this, I believe, should happen in the course of today. Good morning, Mr. Motosho. So don't always forget our confirmation. RSI should be below 50 and possibly MACD should be below zero. Like I always say, the MACD, it's a choice. It all depends if you're aggressive or conservative, but if it goes below zero, that can be an additional confirmation. So we're bearish on the NZD USD today. Now, I want us to understand the reason for this outlook. There's a saying in technical analysis that the trend is your friend. Never trade against the trend. So if the overall trend is bearish, on the 4 hour, it's just right for us to look only for an opportunity to sell on a lower time frame, like 15 minutes. So we're bearish on the NZD USD on the 15 minutes time frame, and I want you to watch out for that in the course of today. Now, I'll be looking at the GBP JPY also on the 1 hour time frame, and though the analysis actually starts from 4 hours. Let me remove some of this other stuff I have on the screen. So this is the GBP JPY on the 4 hour. You can always observe that my first point of call is to establish the trend. That's why this analysis session, we're not just analyzing, we are also mentoring, we're also empowering you, with the knowledge of how to trade. Now, if you see it, just what you can see on the screen, rather, you can see that there is a rising wedge information price as in making series of higher highs, higher low, on and on like that, and we had a low. So technically, the next wave of movement should be an uptrend. All right. So we've established the next wave is an uptrend because price has been bouncing off the higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. So the next technical movement should be an uptrend movement. So we've established that. Now, secondly, there is a rejection candle that closed the last 4 hour candle. That's also an indication of an upside movement on the GBP JPY. And thirdly, there is also a resistance turn support right here between this region and this region. So technically, I'm bullish on the GBP JPY. So that's on the 4 hours. So we'll go to either 1 hour and 15 minutes and look out for a possible entry. Okay, that's 1 hour. Let's check 30 minutes. I'll decide on which one to use shortly. Okay, now what I'm seeing here, for any of the time frame, what I'm seeing forming here is potentially an inverse head and shoulder pattern. Then we see price trigger to the upside. Now, however it comes, uh, let me just get some confirmations. We may as well draw our trend line here potentially to see how to capture the move. So like I said, I'm perceiving a breakout. But then, like I always still say, don't get ongoing patterns. If they happen, fine. If they don't happen that way, it's no problem. I'm seeing this region here as likely the neckline of that inverse head and shoulder. Oh, sorry, did I say head and shoulder? I meant inverse head and shoulder, not head and shoulder. That's the opposite of the head and shoulder pattern. So if price is able to break out above this region here and also above this trend line, we'll see a move to the upside. And don't forget to confirm with your RSI and possibly your MACD. RSI above 50, MACD possibly above zero. So most importantly, wait for a clear breakout above this region to trigger a buy on the GBP JPY. Now, this will likely happen today. Now, don't forget that there is already a news, a speech, we're expecting by 11 a.m. Now, that speech, if it's in line with this bullish setup, will trigger a massive bullish movement on the GBP JPY. So watch very, very closely. And if this setup works out as planned, price will potentially move to the tune of about 30 pips of Fibonacci, 50, about 68 pips to Fibonacci 61.8, and as much as about 116 pips to Fibonacci 78.6. But overall, I am bullish on the GBP JPY. All right, so that's my outlook on the GBP JPY. And similarly, I hold same view on the CHF JPY. All right, so this is the CHF JPY starting from the 4-hour time frame, and you can see just like what we saw on the GBP JPY. I'm trying to confirm something. You can see with the other trend line, not all the lower highs were touching the trend line, so I wanted to correct that. I don't need the trend line to be so long. What matters is we have price touching the higher highs and the higher low. That's what is important. So again, price made a series of higher highs and higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. So the next wave of movement should be to the upside. Now, in this instance, we are not having a uh, resistance turn support, but then notwithstanding, we have a very sharp looking rejection candle, which is still very valid. So we're looking at price moving to the upside. And if we switch over to 1 hour, we have a falling wedge pattern. All right, so we are also expecting an inverse head and shoulder pattern. In fact, this looks a lot more clearer than what we saw on the GBP JPY. But like I always say, whether it turns out to be inverse head and shoulder or not, what is important, wait for the breakout, and confirmation with RSI, MACD, and we're good to go. And I tell you, this one is looking a lot sharp, really, really looking sharp on the CHF JPY. And we're looking at price going as high as 33 pips of Fibonacci 38.2, about 64 pips of Fibonacci 50, and about 96, or let's just say 90 pips of Fibonacci 61.3. All right, so we're bullish on both the CHF JPY and the GBP JPY. I think I will advise you to take some caution with the GBP JPY because of the speech that we're expecting by 11. If at all you have to trade the GBP JPY, wait till after the release of that speech. It will be safer that way. All right. So I have a couple of okay, just one more instrument to show us, and we'll be done. And that's the Euro AUD. Now, this one is for swing traders. It's still an evolving setup, but then hopefully it should trigger soon, possibly today, possibly next week, Monday or Tuesday, thereabout. But it's a setup I'm watching very, very closely, and personally, I'm anticipating the breakout on this one. All right, so this is the Euro AUD. Now, on the daily time frame, which we can equally confirm on the weekly time frame, price started at the beginning of the week at this support zone on the weekly time frame. That's where, price started from at the beginning of the week. And if we switch over to 4-hour time frame, we can see that, price dropped. At the beginning of the week, price was somewhere around here, and the price has dropped to retest that previous support zone. Now, it's also formed the falling wedge. Now, this is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing the formation of what is looking like a double bottom pattern, which will trigger, a breakout to the upside. We don't know when it's going to happen. It all depends on the market. If a breakout happens today, then I mean, we look at taking our trade. What is important is that once price breaks out above this neckline region, this region here, we're free to take a buy on the Euro AUD. And price potentially, now this is a swing setup. Like I said, it's for swing traders. Just watch it closely. I might even do uh, a flyer on this and post in the groups so that people can, be informed ahead, especially those who are not on the platform and plan to trade this. If this breakout works out as we're seeing, possibly we could have price go as high as about 80 pips to Fibonacci 30.8, as much as 161 pips to Fibonacci 50, and as much as 240 pips thereabout to Fibonacci 61.8. So it's an evolving setup. Swing traders, take notes. Food is cooking. Something is really cooking on the Euro AED. Okay, that will be all from my end for this morning analysis session. I'll do a recap for those who joined us late. We've analyzed the NZD USD and we're bearish on the 15 minutes time frame. We're bullish on the GBP JPY and the CHF JPY on 1 hour time frame, and we are bullish on gold on 4 hour. Though it's an evolving setup and it's a swing setup, it will take some time before it finally, matures. For gold is in a range. I'll just show you that gold is in a range. If price breaks out to the upside, we'll look at buying, and if it breaks out to the downside, we'll look at selling. Usually in the range we stay out, but then once the range is broken, that can give rise to a trading opportunity. So this is what I'm saying on gold. Gold is boxed inside a range and bound by resistance to the upside and support to the downside. So if price breaks out to the upside, we'll buy. If it breaks out to the downside, we'll sell. So that's my outlook on gold. All right, so that'll be all this morning. If you have a question, you can go ahead and post, and I'm right here to attend to your request. The floor is open for questions, please. Don't forget we have physical training session at our two locations at Abuja and Lagos, Tuesdays and Thursdays by 11 a.m. So if you want a physical training session, feel free to come over to our office. And if you're on the platform this morning, you don't have a trading account with PU Prime, you can go ahead and reach out to me. I can guide you on how to open a trading account. Okay, NZD card from Mr. Dauda. So let's quickly check that as we round up. All right, so this is NZD card. I remember analyzing this yesterday and I said I'm waiting to see this form into possibly a head and a shoulder. It's not looking regular head and shoulder at the moment, but let's just keep watching. If it breaks out, we sell. But for now, this is not what a head and shoulder should look like. But, like I said, the year is just starting. A lot of big time investors are yet to come into the market. So we can see some irregular movements here and there. It's happening across a lot of currency pairs. For now, I will still stand down. Though on the daily, it's what is showing on the daily is not really that bad. It's still giving a clear picture of a head and shoulder. Except if price breaks out to the upside, well, we may look at buying. But for now, I still hold on to that possible reversal, because what I'm seeing here, even on daily, looks a lot like a head and shoulder information, which might trigger a move to the downside. Now, let me confirm with my line chart tool. Now, I hardly use line charts, but sometimes I use it to confirm patterns. Okay, you can see it on the daily line chart is showing it's looking like a head and shoulder. So we might be waiting for a breakout to the downside. So, but is yet to trigger in any way you want to look at it, is yet to trigger. And one other reason why we are looking at a breakout to the downside is because even on the daily time frame, we have price trending downwards. You see, we don't trade against the trend. The overall trend here is bearish, very, very bearish. Lower high, lower high, lower high. So I'll still go with that head and shoulder pattern information and wait for a trigger to the downside for the NZD card. I hope that answered the question, sir. Madam Onaji AUD card. Okay, this one too is a setup I'm watching closely, very, very closely. Okay, let me remove all these lines I drew. All right, so this is the AUD card on the daily time frame. Let me see from the weekly. Yeah, it's clear on the weekly. On the weekly time frame, price started this week with, at a resistance zone on the weekly valid. So we're expecting, a breakout to the outside downside, but then that breakout seems not to be happening yet, because rather on the daily it looks like we've been having some form of range, but it's forming a pattern on the 4 hour. It's not a head and shoulder, and it's not a triple top. Maybe you can take it as a triple top, see what is forming. Okay, it's a triple top. Yeah, it's a triple top. So we are going to wait for a breakout to the downside on this. All right. So it's still expected to break out to the downside, but then it looks like it's taking its time. So it's still, we are still very much bearish on the AUD card on the 4 hour. All right. So I think I've attended to the two questions here. NZD card, AUD card. And you can see the two of them is in alignment. For the NZD card, we're bearish, AUD card is bearish, because both of them contains the card as a quote currency. So you can see the analysis is still very much, in line. All right. That will be the end of the analysis session this morning. Okay, it's like somebody wanted to talk. Hello. Okay, so that'll be all this morning. Take care and have a great day ahead. Bye bye.